Hello, everyone, and welcome to another week of the Uplifted Hand. Today we're going over Psalm 49 through 51. Okay, so today we're letting the Psalms take the floor, and we have three very different voices speaking. First, we have the sons of Korah, then we have God Himself, and then we finally have David. And each one is going to add something to this question: what can actually redeem us? So, first up, Psalm 49. And I already like where it's going. Keep in mind, this is the sons of Korah taking the floor. Psalm 49 opens by calling everybody in: rich, poor, high, low. Nobody gets to sit with this one out. And then verse 4 says, I listen carefully to many proverbs and solve riddles with inspiration from a harp. Okay, the harp is coming out. And we've seen this before. Back in 2 Kings, 3 kings come to Elisha needing a word from the Lord, and what does Elisha do before he speaks? He says, bring me a musician. So when I get to Psalm 49 and he's saying, I've got wisdom to share, bring in the harp, I'm like, I know this setup, something good is coming, and he does not disappoint. Now we see a word for the wealthy, because his message is about people who trust in their wealth. And he says, when they die, they take nothing with them. Their wealth will not follow them into the grave. Well, there it is. You can spend your entire life building wealth, protecting it, enjoying it, but eventually you leave it here. And that's the point. That's his point. Money is not necessarily the problem. Trusting it to do what only God can do is. But just 2 verses earlier, he says, but as for me, God will redeem my life. He will snatch me from the power of the grave. Now that was good. Wealth stops at the grave, but God does not. And there's our Come Follow Me connection for this week. Redemption comes only through Jesus Christ. And then we move into Psalm 50, and the voice changes. Then God answers, because now God is speaking. And he's talking about the sacrifices his people have been bringing him. And he says, for all the animals of the forest are mine, and I own the cattle on 1,000 hills. And then one of my favorite lines, if I were hungry, I would not tell you, for all the world is mine, and everything in it too. Like, okay, God, I know, okay. But he's making a really good point. They're bringing God animals as sacrifices, but God is saying, I don't need your cattle. They're already mine. The cattle are mine. The hills are mine. Everything's mine. So the question becomes, if God doesn't need what they're bringing him, what does he actually want? So this is where it gets uncomfortable, because God starts talking about what they're doing after they make those offerings. He says they're approving of thieves, spending time with adulterers. So outwardly, they're worshiping God, but their lives are telling a completely different story. And that's what he's confronting. They've brought something to the altar without actually bringing themselves. And then God says, giving thanks is a sacrifice that truly honors me. There it is. Boom. This was never about God needing something from them. He wanted their hearts. And that makes Psalm 51 land perfectly, because guess who steps forward next? It's the one, the only, David. He might not be the only David, but he comes into this conversation in a very different place. He's been confronted about Bathsheba, Uriah, and everything he did trying to cover his sin. There really isn't anywhere left to hide. So Psalm 51 begins with, have mercy on me, O God. No long explanation, no defense. He's been there before. And then David says, for I was born a sinner, followed by, but you desire honesty. And I love that word, honesty, because everything God just said in Psalm 50, David finally comes before him with no performance left. Just, here's what I've done. Here's who I am. I need your mercy. So what does David bring as his offering? So David says, the sacrifice you desire is a broken spirit. You will not reject a broken and repentant heart, O God. And there it is. That's the connection. Psalm 50 says, God doesn't need your cattle. Psalm 51 says, or shows that David realizes what he actually wants. He wants a heart that is honest enough to repent. And Come Follow Me points us to one more beautiful description of God in Psalm 86. He is good and ready to forgive. I love this. He's not just merely able to forgive, he's ready. David comes with a repentant heart, and he finds a God already willing to show his mercy. So now let's put all three voices together. The sons of Korah tells us wealth cannot redeem us. God tells us outward offerings cannot replace an honest heart. And David finally says, "Then I will bring him my broken and repentant heart." And all of it brings us back to that beautiful line in Psalm 49. See that rhyme? But as for me, God will redeem my life. That's the heart of this week's Come Follow Me. We will struggle. We will sin. We will have things that we are tempted to trust instead of God. But redemption was never something we were supposed to provide for ourselves. We bring him an honest heart. Goodness. Jesus Christ does the redeeming. And that is something worth bringing the harp out for. I hope you enjoyed today's uplifted hand. Psalm 61 through 66 is tomorrow. See you then.